Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sixpath Weeb. Thank you for joining me once again as we dive deeper into our ongoing fanfiction series. Today's episode is part 6 of our story, What If Naruko Was the True Uchiha Heir? Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. All content on this channel is created purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that said, let's get into it. Both Susanoo blades clashed in a dazzling display of sparks, lighting up the area like a fireworks show. Naruko and Sasuke were engaged in an intense training match, their energy shaking the surroundings as their allies brainstormed a way to locate the three tails. Naruko's Susanoo gained a slight advantage, sending Sasuke's form skimming across the lake's surface. "I didn't want to do this so early," Naruko said calmly, "but time's short." Everyone nearby grew alert, sensing a surge of chakra. "Everyone step back," Sasuke warned, shielding the others inside his Susanoo's protective shell. A moment later, a swirling black vortex formed, gracefully drawing in the three tails, Naruko, and her summoned creature. "That's incredible," Jiraiya exclaimed as he arrived on the scene. "So she has the Kamui," Sasuke thought, frustrated as he stood and split a nearby rock wall with a precise slice of chakra. "I'll find you, Saren," Sasuke murmured with quiet determination. Elsewhere. Naruko reappeared inside her quiet home and collapsed gently onto the floor, exhausted. 1 week later. Naruko slowly stirred awake, blinking as she adjusted to the warm light. She found herself resting on a soft bed. As she looked up, familiar eyes met hers. "You're finally awake," Saren said with a gentle smile, softly brushing Naruko's hair. Naruko smiled back, comforted by her sister's kindness. But a thought crept into her mind. "Kisame is still at large," she said quietly. Saren's expression grew serious, but she didn't speak. The two remained there for a while in peaceful silence, wrapped in thought. Eventually, Naruko made a decision. "Saren, I think it's time you return to Konoha. After our mission, I realized how capable you've become. But I want to stay close to you, Naruko," Saren whispered. Naruko looked away, thoughtful. "Sasuke fought me not to protect the mission, but because he cares about you." Saren blushed slightly, her thoughts drifting to Sasuke. She admitted to missing him. As Naruko's chakra recovered, she and Saren spent the day talking. Eventually, she created a vortex and the two reappeared just outside the Uchiha compound in Konoha. Sirens rang out, alerting the village to Naruko's arrival. She hugged Saren tightly and kissed her forehead. "If you ever need me," Naruko whispered, "you'll know where to find me." With a final smile, she disappeared through the vortex as a kunai whizzed past where she stood. Anbu surrounded Saren and gently escorted her to the Hokage's office. In Uzushio. Naruko now sat quietly inside a crystal-lit cave in Uzushio, where a peaceful blue lake shimmered. The three tails swam lazily in the center, ignoring Naruko's presence. She walked calmly across the water's surface and sat beside the gentle giant, entering a meditative state. Inside her mindscape, surrounded by rolling green fields, a stone pedestal held a single ancient book. Naruko began to read, a gift from Asura, containing secrets of chakra mastery and the Sharingan. "These techniques require absolute balance in both chakra and emotions," she read, absorbing the wisdom with quiet determination. In Konoha. At the Hokage's office, Saren and her friends listened as she recounted her time with Naruko. Some things, however, she kept private. Sasuke stood beside her, clearly moved. Minato, Hokage of the village, turned serious. "The 5-cage summit will be held soon in the Land of Iron, hosted by the Raikage. The council has chosen 5 to accompany me: Sasuke, Menma, Kakashi, Might Guy, and Jiraiya." While some were disappointed, they understood the choices. Later that evening, Saren reunited with her friends at their favorite barbecue place. Laughter filled the air, until Kiba awkwardly asked if Naruko had interrogated her. Saren's sharp glance silenced him quickly. "Kisame is still a concern," Shikamaru added, thoughtfully. "But it's amazing Naruko held her own." A hush fell over the group. "No matter how strong she is," Saren said confidently, "I won't give up on her." "If it came to choosing her or the village?" Sakura asked hesitantly. Saren looked down. "The village. Of course," she said, though her voice faltered. Ino stood up with a sigh. "We couldn't even match her, and she was protecting the three tails. I wonder how strong she really is. Menma slammed the table, clearly upset. Hinata gently followed him outside. Don't mind him, Mina said kindly. He's always felt responsible for the tailed beasts. Later. Naruko rested on a forest branch when a bird landed nearby, delivering a letter. Naruko, the cage summit is in 4 days. Come pick me up. I've accepted your offer. Yahiko. Naruko smiled softly and burned the letter after reading it. She teleported to Yahiko's room where the young woman, dressed simply in red, waited. Without a word, the two reappeared inside Naruko's private home, protected by layers of genjutsu. This looks like a guest room? Yahiko asked curiously. It's your room now, Naruko replied. Yahiko smiled. Actually, I'd rather stay in yours. Naruko blinked, surprised by her sudden boldness, but nodded. That night, they spent quiet time together. Yahiko admitted, I've liked you since we were kids. I want to be by your side. Naruko looked at her thoughtfully and smiled. They fell asleep peacefully, side by side, wrapped in a shared warmth. Maybe I'll take a break from training tomorrow, Naruko thought, and spend time with my princess. At the summit. As the 5-cage summit began, the raikage opened with strong words about the growing threat of the Akatsuki. The other cage nodded solemnly. We need to work together to protect our lands, he concluded. Minato stood. We've identified the most dangerous members, Kisame, Sin, and their mysterious leader who possibly holds the Rinnegan. If true, I volunteer to confront him. Suddenly, a vortex opened. A masked figure stepped into the room. Don't worry, I'm just here to observe, the masked person chuckled. Minato's anger flared, the room's tension rising. You brought chaos to our home, Minato said sternly, his chakra swelling. Before things escalated further, Naruko appeared in the corner, dressed in sleek black armor, her red eyes glowing with a Sharingan. You owe me, Obito, Naruko said, having just saved him from Minato's wrath. The room froze. Is this true? Kakashi whispered. It is, Naruko confirmed. Anaki demanded answers, but Naruko remained calm. We meet again, 4th Hokage, she said. Minato threw a kunai that exploded midair. Suddenly, the entire room warped, an illusion. Genjutsu, someone shouted. The vision melted away. Outside, everyone realized they had been safely removed just before a real explosion could have occurred. You're telling me none of you sensed it? Minato asked in disbelief. Sasuke replied, he used a sealing method to mask it, stronger than I've ever seen. A paper bird landed with a message. Minato read aloud. I am no longer a child. I will retrieve my friends, one by one, peacefully. If you wish to cooperate, have the Jinchuriki release their chakra, I will come for them. Naruko Otsutsuki. The Land of Iron commander turned to his officers. Update the records. Naruko Otsutsuki is to be labeled an international class shinobi. A 1 billion yen bounty is authorized. The cage agreed to stay in close contact, determined to resolve both threats. Back in the village, Menma stared at the horizon. If Naruko ever hurts anyone, I will stop her, he said quietly, his eyes glowing with determination, but not hatred. Small village near the Land of Fire. Naruko leaned back on her chair, her feet propped casually on the table as she waited to be served in a cozy little restaurant. Sitting beside her was Yahiko, positioned in a much more composed manner, a wide straw hat shading her face. The kitchen door swung open, and a nervous server hurried out with their food. Anything else, Naruko-sama? The young man asked with hesitation. Naruko shook her head and began eating. The two girls were enjoying a quiet break in a wealthy village not far from the Fire Nation. What's our next move? Yahiko asked, clearly bored. Tomorrow, we're heading out to recover the 8 tails. The Akatsuki want to act before Kumo completes its defenses, Naruko answered calmly. Are you confident we can take on both the 4th Raikage and his brother? Yahiko asked again. Naruko simply smiled, a spark of confidence in her expression. Konoha. What? No fair. We want to help too, Mito shouted, frustration filling her voice in the council chamber. She and her siblings had just learned they were being confined for safety due to recent Akatsuki activity. Menma joined her, saying that if they worked together, their chances of winning would be greater. No. None of you are going. This decision is final, their father, Minato, said firmly. 2 days ago, I received a message from the Raikage. The Akatsuki have captured the 5 tails, 6 tails, 7 tails, and the 8 tails. The 8 tails was captured right in Kumo. The room fell silent. Menma's eyes widened in disbelief. How? He gasped, his chakra beginning to stir visibly. Minato sighed. Obito and Sin. Their eyes allowed them to control the tailed beasts, and a man with a Rinnegan overwhelmed the rakeage, he explained. No, someone shouted. A merchant stood up, fear in his eyes. We can't let your children stay here, Hokage-sama. They'll draw danger to our village. Minato's gaze turned sharp. If you want them gone, then I'll go with them. And when the Akatsuki come, they'll find a leaderless village, he declared coldly. No one spoke after that. The room filled with tension. My children will stay in the shelter behind the Hokage monument. Tomorrow, we'll initiate a code red, and all civilians will evacuate to safety, he continued. Menma opened his mouth to protest, but Minato silenced him with a look. Did you not hear me? Sin and Obito can control the tailed beasts. Neither Mito nor Mina contain the actual 9 tails, just its chakra. I can fight without my eyes in sage mode, Menma insisted. Minato understood, but he still prioritized their safety. No more arguing. Everything will be ready tomorrow. This meeting is over. He teleported home, where his wife was playing with their youngest, Nato. Despite his fatigue, he stayed with them, needing to hold his family close. I will make it through this, for them, Minato resolved. Small village. Naruko stood still, surrounded by the remains of a bandit camp. Yahiko, standing a short distance away, looked troubled. Naruko had learned about the recent tailed beast captures during a break Yahiko had requested. She now carried the weight of knowing they'd lost precious time. I'm sorry, Naruko, Yahiko whispered. Naruko walked away silently and headed to a nearby pond. Yahiko followed, joining her in the water, but Naruko drifted away, keeping distance. We're heading to Konoha tomorrow, Naruko finally said. Yahiko floated over quietly and hugged her. Naruko sighed, feeling the familiar comfort she always found in her presence. She just wants peace. I can't blame her, Naruko thought, holding her gently as dusk settled and her crimson eyes reflected the darkening sky. Next morning, Konoha. 4 individuals in black cloaks adorned with red clouds approached the hidden leaf village. Kisame grinned eagerly. Sin remained composed. Danzo's eyes burned with ambition. Pain stood silent, expression unreadable. I'll send my paths to deal with the defenses, Pain said, as something large hovered above the village, triggering alarms. Subdue anyone who resists. Find the Jinchuriki, he commanded. They dispersed into the village. Danzo dodged a kunai, greeted by Sasuke with his Sharingan blazing. Today you answer for what you've done, Sasuke said, charging forward. Elsewhere, Sin met Sarin, who readied her blade. Pain narrowly avoided a kunai thrown by Minato, who now stood before him, eyes glowing in sage mode. The 4th has arrived, Pain noted. I won't let you harm this village, Minato replied sternly. Pain mentioned Kisame's movements. Minato remained confident. Menma will handle him. The battle began. The village shook as Pain and Minato clashed, gravity versus strength. The villagers watched in awe of their Hokage. Minato managed to eliminate one of Pain's paths. Reinforcements arrived, Tsunade and Jiraiya, who joined the battle. Pain seemed unfazed. This village is covered in my seals, Minato warned. Humph. Then I'll erase your advantage, Pain replied. As Minato fought the weapon path, Pain rose into the air. Shinra Tensei, he shouted. A powerful force devastated the village. When the dust cleared, only the Hokage monument remained intact. No, let me help, Menma shouted as Kushina held him back with her chakra chains. Sarin lay exhausted, unable to continue. Sin walked away without harming her. Sasuke stood over Danzo, victorious. Root operatives approached, but he activated his Susanoo, ready. Minato, seeing his people struggling, summoned a giant toad to fend off an enormous centipede. Pain and the animal path watched warily. Minato teleported behind one of the paths, eliminating it. A lightning flash split the sky as root forces emerged to battle. From swirling paper, a figure appeared, Yahiko. Pain wasted no time. With a swift motion, he sent her flying and drove a chakra rod into her, casting her aside. Naruko appeared through a vortex, clad in dark armor, her presence commanding silence. She knelt beside Yahiko, lifting her gently. Yahiko, Naruko whispered, her voice trembling. It's all right. Yahiko smiled weakly, whispering something into Naruko's ear before closing her eyes, peace on her face. Naruko sealed her body gently. So, Naruko. You truly won her heart, Pain said. Naruko didn't turn. Her hand reached for her blade. How could you do this to your own daughter, Nagato? She was changed by you, Pain replied coldly. Naruko's expression darkened. Did Konan agree to this? Silence. Then Naruko laughed, not in joy, but in bitterness. She doesn't know. I'll be sure to tell her. Naruko struck, and Pain blocked just in time. Minato, watching, was stunned by her speed. Pain revived his fallen paths. Massive creatures were summoned in return, but Naruko countered with a powerful summon, Isabu, the Three Tails. Obito arrived with the Geto statue, planning to capture the beasts. Chains lashed out to bind them. Battles raged. Menma appeared atop the Nine Tails, aiding Naruko. Minato observed with pride and concern. Obito summoned the Eight and Four Tails. Minato and Menma teamed up with Naruko, their bonds unshaken. The chains began to overpower the tailed beasts. Naruko's Susanoo rose to defend them, blades slashing through the chains. Naruko prepared a mighty crossbow as Pain realized what was coming. Too late, Naruko whispered, unleashing the arrow wreathed in black flames. It pierced Pain's defenses, shattering illusions of invincibility. The tailed beasts were almost taken. Menma and Kurama fought back. Naruko's Susanoo stood strong, until finally the statue retreated and the enemy vanished. As the dust settled, Naruko stood tall, her armor torn, her face determined. Civilians emerged from the monument shelter, gazing in awe. Minato returned. Kakashi, I need a report on our forces, he ordered. The village had endured, thanks to its heroes. About 10 of our allies have been injured, but the invaders have all been neutralized, Kakashi reported calmly. Minato nodded, though he still expected a more detailed overview. The sky began to clear gently, as if acknowledging that the conflict had passed. An Anbu squad landed near Naruko, clearly on high alert. But before they could take any action, Minato raised a hand and gave a small, reassuring smile. Stand down. She helped us achieve victory. Besides, I doubt even you could manage to defeat her, he said with quiet confidence. Some of the Anbu looked away shyly behind their masks, clearly humbled. Where is my little sister? Naruko asked for the second time that day. A soft movement rippled through the crowd as the gathered people stepped aside. Sarin emerged slowly with Sakura's support, clearly recovering from her injuries. Sarin managed a gentle smile. I knew you would come. Naruko gave a playful smirk. Don't get too confident. I only came because time was running short. Then her expression turned serious. Who was responsible for this? She asked as she gently placed her hand against Sarin's cheek. She already had an idea, but she needed to hear it directly. Sin, Sarin said quietly. Naruko turned to the assembled shinobi with determination in her eyes. Get ready. A much greater challenge awaits us, one unlike anything we've faced before. When that moment arrives, I'll be the one to face Madara Uchiha. Today was only the beginning. Don't worry about Sin. I'll handle it. A majestic bird formed behind her, glowing with power. She climbed onto its back and soared into the sky, leaving behind the remnants of a village that had endured much. Minato watched her go, then turned to an Anbu. Erase Naruko's bounty from Konoha's records. As Naruko glided through the clouds, she sighed, remembering Yahiko's words. Stand for what's right, Naruko. Her eyes shimmered with renewed determination, changing with a silent promise for the future. Morning sunlight over the mountains. The golden rays of the sun stretched over the distant mountains, casting a soft glow across the land as the day quietly began. Deep underground in her private training chamber, Naruko sat cross-legged, the silence pressing in around her. Meditation had its place, but today she felt restless. Despite that, she remained calm and focused. A well-worn scroll rested beside her, one of the many left behind by Asura, filled with ancient wisdom. Today, her focus was to uncover more about the strange eyes that had awakened within her during the last major conflict in the Hidden Leaf. Naruko first discovered these eyes during the recent confrontation in Konoha. Though she had instinctively deactivated them to keep them hidden, she couldn't ignore their power. The scrolls offered clues, and she was slowly piecing the puzzle together. The Great Cage Summit. At the heart of a secure chamber, the leaders of the 5 great nations sat together once more, discussing recent events involving the mysterious group that had attacked Konoha. Minato, calm and confident, detailed what had happened, especially the role Naruko had played during the battle. One of the elder leaders, Anaki, rubbed his chin in thought as he considered Naruko Otsutsuki. Her growing strength stirred caution in him. Though she had protected Konoha, her true intentions remained unclear. "I want to clarify," Minato spoke calmly, sensing the shift in mood. "Konoha is not allied with Naruko. She acted independently. Still, I believe there's good in her, good that wants to rise to the surface." The Raikage, known for his bold nature, narrowed his eyes. "Always trying to see the light in others, huh?" he said with a smirk. Then suddenly, his hand slammed the table with a sharp bang. "But I won't rest easy while this powerful figure walks unchecked." The room quieted. Before anyone could respond, a swirl of energy materialized in the center of the chamber. A vortex opened, and from it, Naruko emerged, gently descending, effortlessly floating in the air. She wore a sleek black combat outfit, her long hair waving slightly as she hovered with perfect chakra control. The air stilled as many observed her elegant yet commanding presence. "I heard my name," Naruko said, her silver eyes scanning the room. "If you have something to say, feel free to try your luck." The Raikage, without hesitation, surged forward, a blur of speed and energy, aiming a punch straight at Naruko's face. Before the blow could land, a force pushed him backward, hurling him through the chamber wall and out of sight. The room went silent. Minato narrowed his eyes. The technique Naruko had used was familiar. Eerily so. Just as the samurai guards rushed in, Naruko lifted a hand calmly. "No need to get excited," she said firmly. "Commander, call off your team unless you want an unnecessary confrontation." The commander nodded slowly, raising a hand to signal the guards to stand down. A moment later, the Raikage returned, floating above the ground, his stance battle-ready. Naruko stood still, calm, with her ninjato at her side, but she made no aggressive move. Seeing the situation, the Raikage quietly powered down his chakra cloak and returned to his seat. "If you try that again," Naruko said quietly, "your village may be looking for new leadership." Her voice carried no hatred, only a sense of warning. Anaki cleared his throat. "Why are you here, Naruko?" Naruko met his gaze. They stared for a long moment until Mei, unable to handle the tension, playfully interrupted. "Come now, you didn't come just to see little old me, did you?" she asked with a teasing smile, fanning herself lightly. Naruko allowed herself a soft sigh. "No. I came to deliver a message. The same one I gave Konoha, a storm is on the horizon. You must prepare your nations. Train your shinobi. Strengthen your alliances. Whether I'm friend or foe in this coming conflict depends on your choices. But I will face Madara Uchiha myself. That is all." With that, Naruko vanished in a swirl of chakra, leaving behind a sealed scroll. The commander nodded to a nearby shinobi who retrieved it and read aloud, "Kabuto. Reanimation." Shock spread across the room. Minato's expression tensed. He knew what this meant. "Reanimation is a forbidden technique," he explained. "One that brings fallen shinobi back into battle. If Obito is planning to use this through Kabuto, we're looking at a massive conflict." Gaara, who had remained silent, spoke thoughtfully. "Then the tailed beasts. They might be used to power such a technique on a much larger scale." Everyone in the room grew quiet, the weight of the situation sinking in. Anaki looked around at the young leaders, their determined faces filled with hope and fear. "This is no longer about any single village," he said. Floating to the center of the room, he removed his hat and gently placed it on the table. "This is about our future, and the future of every child growing up in this world." Slowly, one by one, the other cage followed suit. Even the Raikage nodded firmly as he placed his hat down. For the first time in many years, the 5 nations agreed, they would stand together. The commander of the Iron Country smiled as he watched this historic moment unfold. This is what true unity looks like. Temple in the Wind Country. At a secluded ancient temple, Naruko calmly walked up the long staircase, glowing seals flickering across her arms. The air buzzed with silent energy. Inside, a quiet figure sat upon a throne-like chair. Sin, known for his cryptic nature, looked mildly amused. The two regarded each other in silence. When Sin attempted a genjutsu, Naruko easily dispelled it. Her focused energy surged, her eyes glowing as her emotions bubbled beneath her calm surface. They moved, swift as shadows, engaging in a contest of skill and strategy. Neither side had the upper hand, though Naruko's techniques and creative use of seals clearly impressed even Sin. As their spar escalated, Sin remarked calmly, your control over sealing arts has improved. I take it Uzushio's knowledge is serving you well? Naruko said nothing, her expression focused. With a swift motion, she launched a series of coordinated strikes, challenging Sin's reflexes. He countered, but was caught off guard when one of her kunai exploded with precise timing, singeing his fingers. As the match intensified, Sin revealed one of his own unique jutsu, the ability to briefly pause time within a limited field. But Naruko had anticipated this and used a decoy to reposition herself. The earth shifted under her as she summoned a mighty stone construct, launching herself toward Sin. He responded with towering defenses and swift maneuvers, but Naruko never relented, pushing the boundaries of her chakra and skill. In a dazzling clash, both summoned their Susanoo, enormous avatars of chakra and willpower. The sky darkened as their chakra resonated across the land, a testament to their strength. But even then, there was no malice in their fight. Only determination. When their battle finally slowed, both warriors stood, breathing calmly. You're stronger than ever, Sin acknowledged. Naruko gave a small nod. And I'll keep getting stronger, not to defeat people, but to protect the world from what's coming. Their weapons lowered. Though their match had tested their limits, there was an unspoken respect between them now. Neither sought destruction. They simply walked different paths that were now, more than ever, bound to intersect. I could tell when you were about to use your jutsu. Your eye movements gave it away, Naruko explained gently. When I brought down your Susanoo, I switched myself with a chakra clone and hid in a safe dimension, so you wouldn't detect two energy sources. Sin blinked, surprised. So when I activated my Rinnegan, you used it to predict when I'd freeze time and slipped away? Naruko nodded calmly. Now, tell me why you turned against your clan. Sin's eyes glowed faintly as he activated a memory-based genjutsu. Naruko, though cautious, allowed it to play, knowing time was limited. Sin's memory. A younger version of Sin leaned against a wall, holding a bundled infant wrapped in a towel. In front of him stood a masked figure dressed in the traditional Akatsuki robes, Obito Uchiha. Have you made your choice, Sin? Obito asked. Your sister's safety. Or the Uchiha clan? Sin looked down at the infant, his baby sister giggling in his arms. Just hours earlier, she had been born peacefully at home, surrounded by family. Without warning, a strange vortex appeared and Obito emerged. In a blur, chaos erupted. Sin's family had been overwhelmed, and Sin found himself pulled into a strange dimension, still clutching his sister. Obito stepped beside him. Sin Uchiha. I'm Madara Uchiha. I have a proposal for you. Fear and frustration boiled inside Sin, his eyes swirling with the Mangekyo Sharingan. But he stayed calm, glancing at his sister. He knew he couldn't fight Obito and protect her at the same time. I've seen your talent, Obito continued. Join me, and in return, spare your sister. Otherwise, I can't guarantee her safety. Sin, torn and heartbroken, looked into his sister's cheerful eyes. He gently placed her into a crib and kissed her forehead. Don't worry, little one. I'll always watch over you. You're making the right decision, Obito said. Sin glanced at him, determination set in his face, and followed him. Back in the present. Naruko watched silently, taking in all that she had just witnessed. So Obito's manipulation was behind everything. Suddenly, rain began to fall gently. Sin, barely conscious, spoke with difficulty, Naruko. Please protect my sister. She had no part in any of this. If you don't, then everything I did was for nothing. She's innocent. Naruko sighed, burdened by the weight of the moment. Where is she now? Sin chuckled weakly. She's the young girl who just tried to surprise you. Naruko instinctively turned and blocked a strike from a young girl, no older than 12. She had long black hair and wore an Onbu uniform. Her eyes mirrored Sin's, glowing with emotion and tears. Don't fight him, Rai, Sin whispered with a gentle smile. I'll always love you. Rai broke into tears, dropping her weapon and hugging her brother tightly. Naruko watched quietly. This isn't her fault. She's just a child. Manipulated by pain and lies. Determined to honor Sin's final wish, Naruko activated her space-time technique and took Rai and Sin's body with her to a safe hideout. Inside, Rai wept softly. Naruko wrapped a blanket around her and sat nearby, allowing her to grieve. Eventually, the exhausted girl fell asleep. Naruko created a shadow clone to stand watch and closed her eyes, allowing herself to rest. Next morning, Naruko awoke and found Rai still resting. She rose, made breakfast, and waited. Soon after, she heard soft sniffles. "Stop crying," Naruko said gently. "He wouldn't want you to waste your tears." You fought him," Rai whispered. Naruko nodded calmly. "And he hurt someone important to me. I understand your pain, but there's more to this than just revenge." Rai gave a hollow laugh. "So? It's all the same, isn't it?" She suddenly threw a kunai at Naruko, but it passed harmlessly through a substitution technique. Naruko didn't react. "Finish your breakfast and prepare yourself. I've sealed Sin's eyes away. I'll decide when you're ready to inherit them." After a shower and breakfast, Rai watched Naruko silently. Her thoughts swirled with confusion. Why hasn't she hurt me? Is this some game? What is she planning? Naruko, reading a scroll, met her gaze with calm silver eyes. "You and me. We're not so different," Rai murmured. Naruko simply raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask for clarification. She was still deciding what to do. Train her? She could be a powerful ally in the future. But right now, I can't keep her with me all the time. "I'll be taking you to Konoha," Naruko said. "You'll stay there until the conflict ends." Rai's eyes widened. "No. They'll never accept me. They have no reason to treat you unfairly. You were taken against your will." Rai lowered her head. She feared rejection more than anything. "Please. Let me stay." Naruko sighed. "All right. You'll stay here. But you'll follow my instructions exactly. No questions. Understood?" Rai nodded quickly. "Hi, sensei." Naruko smirked. The title had a nice ring to it. Konoha Training Ground. Mina stood proudly as her students trained joyfully, smiles lighting up their faces. Their innocence was precious, and she knew it wouldn't last forever in the world they lived in. Thunder cracked across the sky, and her mind drifted to someone who had been on her thoughts lately, Naruko Otsutsuki. Suddenly, 5 Onbu appeared beside her. "Joun and Mina, you are requested by the Hokage." Mina turned to her students. "Head home and rest," she said before disappearing in a blur. In the Hokage's office, she saw familiar faces: Ino, Sakura, Mito, and Z from Kumagakure. Z, larger and stronger than before, gave her a polite nod. The Hokage explained, "Z has been tracking Kisame, Orochimaru, and an unknown shinobi. They've evaded him repeatedly." "How can that be?" "They're gone," Ino said. "The reanimation technique," Sakura muttered. Minato nodded. "They bear the signs of that forbidden jutsu." The masked one also carried a scroll, likely important. Minato turned serious. "Tomorrow, your mission is to retrieve that scroll. This is an S-rank operation. Sasuke Uchiha will lead the team." Mina turned and saw Sasuke behind her. He gave a confident nod. Next morning. At the village gate, the team gathered. Sasuke gave orders. "Z, Mito, Mina and I will engage. Sakura, stay back for support. Ino, focus on gathering intel through mind techniques." They tracked the enemies to a clearing near the Nara clan forest. "Why would they be here?" Ino asked. Before anyone could respond, Sasuke dodged a kunai that flew from the trees. Z activated his lightning armor and dashed forward, clashing with Kisame's sword. Orochimaru and the masked man stood behind him. "You're too late," the masked figure said. "What are you after?" Mina asked firmly. He ignored her. "The Kyuubi's chakra. It's within the Hokage's children." Sasuke's eyes widened. "Mina. Mito. Go get help. This is Obito Uchiha." "We can handle ourselves," Mito said, drawing her blade. Obito's mask turned toward them. "You'll learn today. The shinobi world is more complicated than it seems." Suddenly, the ground cracked open and a giant statue emerged, the one used by the Akatsuki in the past. With lightning speed, Sasuke struck Orochimaru with a powerful jutsu. Orochimaru only smiled. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. "Chidori." Detonation. Orochimaru's form burst into a cloud of dust. Sasuke stepped back, thinking the fight was over, but he was caught off guard as Orochimaru suddenly reappeared, swinging a blade downward. "I guess that wasn't enough," Sasuke murmured. "But this will be," Mito shouted, launching a Rasen Shuriken toward Orochimaru. Taking the warning seriously, Sasuke vanished from the spot using a Shunshine technique. Orochimaru's eyes widened just before the Rasen Shuriken connected and erupted with immense force. When the dust settled, Orochimaru didn't reappear. It's 2 versus 6 now, Mina said calmly. Mito and Sasuke rushed to engage Kisame in a fierce battle, while Mina began forming another Rasen Shuriken, waiting for a perfect opportunity. From a distance, Obito observed, his eyes following the chaos with cold calculation. He planned to gather some of the chakra from the 9 tails. Since the girls didn't contain the full beast, there was less risk involved for him. It was a risky strategy, but he was buying time for his forces to locate and secure Kakashi, hoping to reclaim his Sharingan. With 5 key shinobi drawn out, Konoha's defense had weakened significantly. Reports had confirmed Kakashi was returning from a mission, so the timing aligned perfectly for Obito. He didn't even need the 9 tails chakra anymore, not since he found and secured a substitute host. Everything seemed to be unfolding according to his plans. The only real threats he still worried about were Naruko, or possibly her and Sasuke working together. Mission complete, he thought to himself as his clone's memories flowed back into his mind. Kisame, Obito ordered as a swirling vortex began to pull him away, defeat the one with the pink hair, and you'll be restored. Kisame's grin grew sharper, though his expression darkened at the betrayal he felt. Well then, he muttered to himself, I might as well put my chakra to proper use. I won't play around like Orochimaru did. Kisame's ears twitched as he heard a sharp slicing sound. Instinctively, he raised his massive sword, watching as it absorbed the incoming Rasen Shuriken with ease. I won't be as simple to defeat as Orochimaru, he declared. He was never one to follow, he controlled. No wonder you all brought him down so quickly. Just then, a calm, clear voice drifted through the air. And what about you, Kisame? The voice questioned. Have you followed for so long that you've forgotten how foolish it is to obey someone like Obito? Everyone turned to see Naruko perched casually on a tree branch, her gaze lifted toward the sky, her expression unreadable. A flicker of frustration passed over Kisame's face. He darted forward in a flash, aiming straight for Naruko with overwhelming speed and force. For a moment, it seemed as if the attack would land, until he collided with an invisible force and was sent flying, crashing through the trees. Just like with the Raikage, Ino whispered, recalling the whispered accounts of Naruko's past confrontations. Kisame returned rapidly, now looking even more ferocious as he skillfully weaved through the trees. When he reached Naruko again, she flipped into the air, spun gracefully, and landed behind him. In an instant, Kisame was engulfed in intense black flames. Naruko descended quietly and faced the other shinobi. She noted that Z hadn't immediately attacked her, likely out of caution. Witnessing someone defeat a highly skilled opponent with such control would do that. Looks like I arrived too late, Naruko said softly to herself. Obito's already gone. Thank you for the help, Mina said sincerely. Their eyes met for a moment, and Mina briefly lost herself in Naruko's calm, silvery gaze. Naruko looked away and sighed, her eyes fixed on the sky. Taking down the reanimated shinobi will be difficult for most. The only way to prevent further battles is to find Kabuto and stop him from using that technique. Based on my calculations, he'll activate it within 2 days. Z nodded but had a lingering question. Why tell us all this? I'll be able to trace Kabuto's location once he starts. I plan to handle it myself, Naruko replied. As for why I'm sharing it, perhaps I just decided to. Or would you prefer I left your villages uninformed? Mina responded quickly, no, Naruko. We appreciate the intel. I think what Z meant was, how did you learn this? Naruko appeared suddenly in front of Mina, mere inches away. The group tensed. She leaned in and whispered into Mina's ear, sending a small shiver down her spine. I know everything, Naruko murmured. With that, she vanished. Mina exhaled, only then realizing she'd been holding her breath. Sasuke narrowed his eyes and turned to leave. He motioned for his team to follow. She defeated Sin. Naruko, just how strong have you become? Sasuke wondered, a mix of curiosity and determination in his eyes. The image of Naruko's advanced dojutsu lingered in his thoughts. Minato's office. After returning, Sasuke's team reported everything to Minato. Upon hearing it, Minato quickly drafted a letter for the Raikage and handed it to Z. Despite Z's objections, Minato sent a few Anbu escorts for his safety. As he looked out over the village from atop the Hokage monument, Minato reflected on Naruko's battle with Kisame. So, you really do possess those eyes, Naruko, he said to himself, a small smile on his lips. You'd better use them to protect others. Otherwise, my little princess won't be happy if I have to step in. He chuckled softly, remembering the faint blush that had graced Mina's cheeks when Sasuke described Naruko whispering something to her. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with all things anime and beyond. Until next time, stay awesome. Much love. 6 Path Weeb.